Good evening. We've got breaking news for you right out of the gate. John Stumpf, the much-maligned CEO and chairman of Wells Fargo, is stepping down from both positions immediately. The news comes on the heels of a scandal that impacted up to 2 million retail clients in light of the bank's fallout over phony accounts and fraudulent accounts made in their name. The stock, you can see right now in the aftermarket, is rebounding just a little bit, but I'm not sure this resolves the situation. In fact, in many cases, maybe it could mean that more trouble is ahead. Now, the board of directors has elected Tim Sloan as their new CEO and lead director, Stephen Stranger as their new chairman. Stumpf said in a statement, "I am grateful for the opportunity to have led Wells Fargo. I'm also very optimistic about its future because of our talent and caring team members and the goodwill the Stagecoach continues to enjoy with tens of millions of customers." Joining me now to discuss, Fox Business senior correspondent and the guy who's been on top of this more than anyone else, Charlie Gasparino. You felt that there was a good chance this was going to happen, but what does it mean now?
Well, yesterday we reported that when we saw that the dynamics of the reporting structures changed, Tim Sloan is number 2, essentially getting much more power. What I said simply this, I said, John Stumpf, this shows you, presages the fact that John Stumpf is out before the end of the year. I did not know it was coming today. But, you know, listen, here's what I would say, Charles. They've got their pound of flesh, meaning the regulators in Washington, Elizabeth Warren, and the all-powerful Consumer Financial Protection Board, which is sort of run like a mini army outside of the government, accountable to no one, packed with people who hate bankers. They got their pound of flesh. John Stumpf is out. Wells Fargo agreed to separate the CEO and the chairman titles. Sloan gets the CEO. The other gentleman, whatever you I forgot his name. I didn't even know. Yeah, Stephen Sanger gets the chairman job. A lot of people think that's a good thing to separate that out, creates corporate governance. Although, let me put it to you this way: there's no evidence of that. Just liberals like that. And the bank goes on. It's going to face some. I'm sure there's going to be some shareholder lawsuits on this. But here's the sad part about this, and I think everybody that cherishes the free market should take this under consideration. You had unelected people, regulators, bureaucrats who are still fighting the battles of what caused the 2008 financial crisis, hate bankers, and they basically dislodged a CEO for all his negatives, and he wasn't very good on the stand, I will say that, but ran a pretty tight ship other than this scandal, which, by the way, Charles' scandal cost people no more than $10 million. This was not Bernie Madoff. Yes, the behavior was egregious, but they blew out a good CEO over this just because it sounded really good to get a pound of flesh out of somebody. But, yeah, that is really bad.
Charlie, I'm usually in agreement with you, but in this particular case, we're talking about retail clients, just regular mom-pop folks that come in, they open an account, their name and information is used to create other accounts. This is the kind of thing that gave banking a bad name in the first place. This is why Elizabeth Warren has the power that she has.
Actually, it's not.
Well, these sort of things are why. I mean, these are the sort of things that the average person, you know, listen, someone opening 5 accounts in my name, shame on Wall Street.
I agree. Listen, the financial crisis, the reason why Elizabeth Warren has so much power is because of the financial crisis. And the financial crisis had nothing to do with ripping off retail bank customers. It had to do with banks taking undue risk on their portfolios involving bonds that they kept on their portfolios. Yes, this sounds really bad. And I agree. One fake account is bank fraud. I will agree with that. But put it in perspective. We just blew out on a very, very important bank a guy that knows how to run the bank, okay? There's no evidence that he knew there was massive fraud going on.
Here's the thing, though, Charlie. Yeah. We all agree, particularly after that financial crisis, the buck has to stop somewhere. Right. And in light of all of this, the woman who was in charge of this was able to walk away with a 9-figure severance package, and it just...
She did have a contract, I'm sure, right?
She had a contract, but the bottom line there, they also had clawback provisions that...
Well, then claw back.
Stumpf was very reluctant to do that. Well, they mishandled this in many ways. I just want to ask you, because I have a friend who works at Wells Fargo. Right. I met with him last week, and he thinks that there's more coming on the institutional side.
Maybe there is, and I will tell you this. If that woman who ran that retail side, her name escapes me, committed criminal fraud, put her in jail, and I guarantee they claw back everything. If John Stumpf knew about this and committed fraud, put him in jail, criminal fraud, you're done. You know, that's it. But I don't see her being arrested anytime soon because running these big banks is both difficult And I'm not condoning the behavior. Listen, when you create big banks like this, guess what happens, Charles? It's almost impossible to manage. What these banks do is a degree of regulatory arbitrage.
Right.
You can't do anything over here, so they look for other places to make money, and it gets out of hand. Okay, they don't know it.
But to your point, it makes it harder to manage when they get so
true.
large, and
That's
there's never accountability, and no one ever goes to jail.
It's true, but they're not going to. But sometimes they don't go to jail because these are mistakes rather than outright fraud.
Except when 5,000 people do it, it's not a mistake, right?
But let me tell you something. $10 million we're talking about here over a period of time. Put it in perspective. I mean, there's the woman that ran that unit. $10 million. This is not even close. Bernie Madoff ripped off billions. Maybe 100 billion. I mean, this is. I'm not saying what they did is right, but put the magnitude in perspective. If you're going to blow out a CEO over a $10 million rounding error, and by the way, I don't think it was 10 million.
It's a rounding error.
I think
for
it was
you,
5.
Charlie, it's 2 million customers. It was 5,000 employees. Can you imagine how rampant something is when 5,000 people know it's okay to do it?
They must be pretty bad at doing it because they only screw.
At the retail level, it was ma and pa.
But
they were getting $10 here, $20 there.
But $10 million over a long period of time. I mean, I just will say that, listen, I know running these banks, I know John Stumpf did not approve people doing that. Okay, I'm not saying they didn't have. I'm not saying that they did everything right.
Yeah. But
to get rid of a CEO because of this is pretty lame. I mean, in this environment.
Well, it's big news. It's going to be on front pages everywhere tomorrow. And Main Street definitely is going to look at this a different way. And I got to tell you something. After watching Stumpf go before Congress, there were very few people in Washington on either side of the political aisle who felt like, I should take this guy's side. Charlie.
Well, no one's going to take a side, but I'm just telling you that you got to put in perspective. And listen, we broke the story here first.
You broke the story.
Yeah,
You've been all over this thing, man. I want you to find out about the institutional side, though.
I will do that.
Thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate it.